I really want to start out this video by talking about the ending of this chapter, but instead, I'm just going to start at the beginning and work my way through. So this chapter starts out with E2 and E4 finally meeting up again after so long, and their interaction is just a brief, "Hi, hello, how you doing? You been good? That's great." Which is fine. I mean, it fits their characters, but it makes me wonder, are all these shooting stars like buddy-buddy? Or is there going to be some conflict between some of them? Me personally, I'm hoping for the conflict option, because it's going to be boring if all of them just rejoin like that. And it's going to get repetitive too. Moving on though, it's time to talk about Shiki, who was absolutely hilarious this chapter, because when Rebecca started recollecting about what had happened to her on Gillis, she started to cry, and then when Shiki saw his friend Rebecca start to cry, he couldn't help but shed a few tears himself. And then those tears eventually just turned into him fully bawling his eyes out. Also, we got the return of Shiki's OG costume, yes! When I first saw his second costume, I didn't really like it, but then it sort of started to grow on me. But now that I'm seeing him back in his OG suit, I never want him to switch to the second one ever again. Because this first one is just two flames, bro. Now, Shiki may have been awesome this chapter, but there was, however, one thing that he did that made me just the tiniest bit upset with him. He basically convinced Hamura to postpone the fight between them. Shiki, what are you doing? This is the fight that we have all been waiting for. The battle between you two would be legendary. Her ether swords versus your ether gravity powers. I don't want to wait to see this. It needs to happen now. Oh, by the way, what's his face? Moskoy, he's back. Apparently, he originally worked for E2, but then the fake E2 just switched him up and then whatever, okay? I don't care because he lost to Weiss, and any character that loses to Weiss, I just can't respect him. Because how are you gonna lose to Weiss? Of all people, Weiss. But enough about Moscow and Weiss, because now we gotta talk about what happened at the end of this chapter, okay? So we get the return of Justice and his crew, and they are looking at what happened to Gillis. They see that the chronophage wiped out about 90% of the planet's population, and they're talking about how horrible that was. But then we get a new character called Colonel Jaguar, and he says that's not even the worst of what happened. The real problem comes from the man who was revived thanks to Gillis going back 1,200 years, and that happens to be the person who turned Gillis into the lawless planet that it was. Drakken Joe, the alchemist of darkness. And let me tell you, this dude looks like a monster. And this guy right here will be the first official villain of Eden Zero. I'm saying it, I'm calling it right now. Now I know some people may say, oh, what about Sabir? He lasted for like 2 chapters, he doesn't count. And some people may be saying like, oh, what about Elsie? Okay, first off, that was a fake Elsie, and she lasted for about 2 chapters as well, so she also doesn't count. And then some people may be saying like, oh, what about Rogue Out? Rogue Out was garbage, okay? The only cool character in there was Jin, and it also, again, didn't last very long, so I'm Xing those guys out as well. Drakken Joe is going to be where it's at. He's going to be the villain that we deserve in Eden Zero. At least, that's just what I'm thinking. There hasn't been any confirmation that he is a villain, but I have high hopes for this character. He looks incredible. And I'm interested to see what his ether gear is and how much of a threat he is to the Eden Zero crew. I am so hyped for the future of this series, and I cannot wait for the next chapter. But anyways, thank you all for watching this video. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.